We have Bruce live in the locker room in Tallahassee celebrating on the field with the Florida State. And I don't know why, like, we were able to run the ball so well in the first half, especially to the left side, and then all of a sudden we started to abandon it. And like I said, there is some inconsistency.
How are they going to approach this game? How are they going to beat this Florida State team?
Well, we're going to break you guys.
Okay, that's it. The show's over.
In the story, we're going to break you guys. Look, and I'm joking, but it's true.
Lord, the climb continues, KB. Oh my God!
I am sweating.
Look at my heart. Look.
You know what? Yeah, I have so much to say. All right, and welcome back to another episode of Seminoles Sideline 365. Thank you for being with us, and we're here once again. I am KB, alongside me, as sometimes always, not this past Saturday, but mostly every episode, is the Old Man. We hope you all are doing well. Old Man, how's it going in Florida?
Good, actually. There is a tropical storm. It's not a tropical storm. It's going to be some heavy rains and stuff like that. It's supposed to be blowing in here from that hurricane that crossed over Mexico. It's crossing through the Gulf. So we're getting some much needed rain, though. So other than that, the weather's actually been pretty good, pretty damn good. So everything's good.
Awesome. Glad to hear that. Glad to hope you all out there are doing well. Like I said, we have three big things we're going to talk about tonight. First of all, we're going to put a bow on top of the Virginia Tech game. The Old Man was there. He tried to call in during the post-game reaction show, and if you were here for that, you may have seen minor technical issues with that. He had to get out of the Wi-Fi zone of the Florida State Stadium before he could actually get to work, which was really as soon as I got off of the reaction. So he'll give us his breakdown of the experience at Florida State, because I haven't been able to get to a game since I live up north. And I'm not willing to pay $1,000 for a hotel room in Tallahassee. I just can't make that economically work right now. But he'll tell us the game day experience. And if you're there, if you've been there recently, let us know your comments as he's going through that. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the recent news of Winston Wright's departure from the team, if we see any immediate impact and what that means for going forward for the offense. So let us know your comments about that as we discuss that too. And then we'll dive into our preview of the Syracuse game, give our thoughts on that matchup and our predictions for that game heading into Saturday. So thanks again for joining us, guys. Give us your comments as we go through these things. Let us know your feedback, comments, thoughts, and we'll break them down. So tell us, Old Man, how was the Virginia Tech experience since we didn't get to talk to you this past Saturday?
Well, I'll give you, first of all, what I thought of the game, then I'll tell you about the experience. Well, I might as well start with the experience because that happened first. That happened first. Let's see. We went over early Saturday morning, about 3 hours from the stadium.
Yeah.
Okay. So we got up early. We wanted to be there around 10:30-ish, maybe 11, So we got up early enough and started driving around 8 o'clock, 8:30 in the morning. Mm-hmm. And there was light traffic, actually, and you're rolling 80, 85 miles an hour, to be honest.
Yeah.
And there was not really many cops out on I-10. And so we get there, we pick up a couple of sub sandwiches at the Publix, which I had put in a certain direction to a Publix, but we must have passed two Publixes before we hit the other one, because 30 minutes out, we ordered sandwiches to save time. Because the big thing when you're going into an area like Tallahassee, where there's going to be 65, 70,000 people, getting parked is my greatest concern when going to a game. So what happened is we had to get the sandwiches, And then we backtrack a little bit going on, I think it was Thomasville Road. Everybody knows Tallahassee, they're going to know Thomasville Road. And we get in and we're going to park up around the Tucker Center. Okay, that's the basketball center, event center, blah, blah, blah. So initially I pull down, I have to go down, what the hell is the name? I can't remember. There's a street that parallels it. And I go down and there's someone sitting there and I say, can I get in this entrance? They go, no, you got to go down all the way to the light, turn left, come back around. And so we come back around thinking we're going to get in to the Tucker Center lot. And then the cops go, no, it's all filled up. It's 10:30 in the morning for a 3:30 kick. And I'm going like, well, okay, well, where can I go? The guy goes, go up the street towards the state capitol. And there's a lot there that's a state government lot. And so we go up there and it's $10, which I expected. That's better than $50. When you get closer down by the frat houses, God only knows how your car would be okay there with vomit all over it or whatever. But we get into that lot and we had a good space there, actually a side spot. We could tailgate right there, which we did. We pulled out a couple of folding chairs. We had our sandwiches. We had our drinks, and we were undercover and that was good. Or you could go out on the grass. So that worked out good, a real good spot. Now we were parked at about 10:30 or 11 and we were about a mile from the stadium. Now, I'm not a spring chicken, but we do walk a lot. So a mile for us really wasn't a concern. 3 miles would not be a concern, okay? But for a lot of people, it is a big concern. And they're not running any shuttles out of that area. We were just above the Tucker Center in this lot, okay? Years before, and I talked to a couple of fans, years before the Tucker Center for like $5, you could get on a bus and it would take you in its own lane to beat the traffic all the way to the stadium and drop you off. I don't know. Yeah. And then after the game, you come out, get on the bus and they bring you back. They're not running this anymore. Some guy said he checked into it too. And they said, well, no, we haven't been doing that since COVID. Hey, clue, COVID is over. Okay, COVID is over unless you talk to Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift about COVID shots.
Well, no, I'm not getting into this. I don't want this banned on YouTube. Can we move forward?
But to use an excuse of COVID, come on, So that wasn't running. So the biggest thing about the tailgate is this. So you're drinking, we're having a couple of beers, and we're eating our sandwiches and everything's
drinking responsibly. Drinking responsibly.
Yeah, drinking responsibly. Mick Ultras, and they go down smooth. You don't even feel them. You don't even feel
basically
them.
Colored water. It's basically
I mean that's what my partner said. She said that's like you didn't even feel anything. And so, but when you drink a couple of those, guess what? You got to use the restroom. Now, here is the problem. It wouldn't have been a problem for me because there was some trees and high bushes, and if I had to go, then I'm going to unzip.
They may have thought you were like a vagrant at your age, just pissing on the trees.
No. There are other tailgaters. No, it would have been cool. There's no one there. All the cops were going to their directional spots, the traffic. So we finished up and we said, okay, let's head to the stadium because the stadium's open. At worst case, you're going to get a bathroom in there. And we were still it was like 1:45, 2 o'clock. So you had plenty of time. Kicks at 3:30, which it didn't kick to about 3:45 anyways. So we go down the street. You walk straight to the stadium. It's straight shot down. Of course, you're going past frat houses and a lot of that crap's going on. And God, a lot of people were walking up the street, I guess, to go to parties or whatever. So it's getting so my partner really needs to go. Okay. She is having almost a problem. So you go by the big RV lot in the Tucker Center. They had one porta potty, one. So I guess they figure everybody's going in their RVs, but there was a line of 10 people, one porta potty.
That's weird.
That is outrageous, really. Weird. And they charge those people $200 a piece to park in there.
Wow.
So we go on down the street, we run into a CVX. CVS, drugstore,
Yeah.
CVS drugstore. I see people coming and going. I'm saying this could be a good thing. So I told my partner Liz, I said, go in there. And Liz goes in there, and I don't see her for a while. I'm saying this is a good sign. And then she does come out, and she said, yeah, they had a restroom in there that you could use. But she said the line was so deep, it was like 10 women trying to get into a one hole bathroom. And she said, she told the ladies, listen, if I don't get in here quick, there's going to be a crappy situation. So they yield to the elderly, and she got to go in ahead of the line. So there was some very nice salute out to those nice ladies if you were in the CVS around 2:00. And then I said, well, hell, I might as well go in there. And sure enough, the men only had like 2 in line. Yeah, the CVS there was good. So we scoped that out for the future. And we even had a Mounds bar to do a little business,
All right.
And then we got out and we started the walk down towards the stadium. And, all the tailgate was going on and all this other stuff was going on. And then we breezed into the stadium. We had our digital tickets. You got to have your digital ticket and you on the phone. And we went in, no problems. We had you got to have a clear plastic bag. It cannot be anything else. Can't be any purses. It's got to be a clear plastic bag, as most stadiums do now. We got in, no problem. And then we checked out the bathrooms right away. And the bathroom experience for us was they were large and they were clean. And that was throughout the game for us. Okay. And our seats were on the 50-yard line, 76 rows up. And besides, I thought that was really good. It was really hot. It was like a summer day. They said it was going to be a cold spell. It was really warm there. So any fans that were there, they know it was really warm. And one lady couldn't even sit on the it's aluminum seating, the metal aluminum seating. She made her husband go get a seat, rent a seat, because she couldn't sit on the metal. That's how hot it was. Yeah. And so we stayed down in the shade for a while, and then we popped back out around 3:15. It didn't kick off for another 30 minutes. Because of what other games or whatever.
It was what other game? I was watching I forget which game it was, but it was down to the wires. They kicked yours back because I was watching the other game, and they kicked y'all's back because it went. I think it went into overtime, but I forget what game it was.
Most of the times they kick off on time, though.
No, but they're on the same network. Mostly they do, and they kick it over to another one. But 2 games went over on time, and I think they were trying to figure out, so they pushed the Florida State game.
Okay. So, we had great seats. You could see the game really well, okay? You could see the game really well, and that worked out really good. Now, besides what we call the seat hoppers, right? Okay, and it was family day. Family day. So the seat hoppers were there, meaning that one kid has a ticket and wants to sit with 8 of his friends, right? Or something like that. So they all crowd in and try to just grab whatever seats they can. And they look at you like you're stupid when you say, that's not your seat, dude. They look at you like, is this guy going to get aggressive? Who's going to leave first? Well, we had ours staked out. But it's like other people who don't go to many games, older people, middle-aged older people going like, what the hell? No, I've been to plenty of games. So I know what goes on. And they were saying, what is this? Why are so many? I said, hold your seat, sit in the middle of your seat. These people are seat hoppers. And that's what they were. Okay. And then everything went well, except for when the college girl in front, who was probably a freshman, and a bunch of guys who brought in red little liquor bottles. By the second quarter, she had thrown up on a row in front of her there, 2 rows in front of us.
Oh my
okay. God. And her parents, who were there too, were kind of laughing like, oh, that's so cool. We used to do shit like that. I'm going like, what the hell is going on here? And finally, the lady next to us, I said, are you going to come back next year? She goes, my son's over in the dorm. He didn't even come to the game. He doesn't even want to hang out with us. That's mother and father. And she goes, I'm not coming back to this circus again. I'm not doing that. And her daughter goes to the University of Florida. She goes, well, we'll see if it's a better experience down there. I said, no, it's the same shit show. Don't worry about it. Okay. And then her husband was really cool. He goes, oh, I kind of like this. This is kind of cool. So overall, which I think is going to, overall, I thought Florida State played good. The first quarter, they were blowing everybody out. I said, they're going to easily beat the spread. The second quarter, it went dormant, and then we kicked the ball off. And, the kickoff coverage teams, they don't worry about anything because it's usually nobody returns it. So they fell asleep. The guy takes it all away, and we got a game going. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I was a little disappointed in that aspect. I didn't think we were what I call a dominant team in that game. We didn't cover the spread. We were 2 points short. And I think that's something that I don't see the dominance. I was glad to see Trey Benson. As you said in your post game, Trey Benson had 200 yards, had a great game.
Had a dominating performance.
Yeah, he had a dominating game. I thought the offensive line opened some pretty good holes. I thought that was really good. I was glad to see that. The defense was getting off the field. I thought that was good. But did I think it was a total overall dominating experience? I didn't feel that way. And so overall, it was great. We left the stadium, had a good backdrop. I was trying to call you in the post game, and that was disappointing. But that's one of the complaints about the Doak is the Wi-Fi,
Well,
and I'll let you lead into this.
The reason I wanted your experience, since you were there this weekend, is because Corey Clark went on a bit of a rant this weekend, which many people, liked. It's apparently there was an 82 post thread on warshan.com where people were
which I read,
burning down the game operations at Doak. Everything from the game day experience, the video board on how they're just highlighting punting stats the entire game, where you can't hear the marching Chiefs because they just blare music the entire game.
Yeah, let me address a couple of these as you go. Okay. Yeah. You said, first of all, the video board game. I do agree with the fans there or whoever made the statement that they used to in past years, how you're interested in other big game scores across the country. Yeah. We're a top 5 team. We're number 4. You're interested in that. I didn't see any of that. I didn't hear. They used to call out the scores really cool. Yeah. And the fans would react. But they did. They had all these goofy ass statistics.
Well, Texas Oklahoma was going on. Texas Oklahoma, that affects Florida State. If Texas, loses, and Florida State moves up, right?
So I agree with that criticism on that. The marching chief thing, they play all this rap music, very often instead of having the Chiefs fire up and do some of their stuff, So I agree with those two criticisms.
Yeah. So. Yeah, like you said, no updating the fans on stats they care about. Apparently, getting the game is a nightmare. Like you said, other people in the threads are bringing up, the marching sheet. There's no on third down. There's no prompt to get the fans into it. It's just like you said, music playing, and it's been a year or two since I've been there. I don't tend to look at I don't remember these things, but I think probably the older people like yourself probably pick up on these things, and probably I will, as I'm getting older, pick up on some of these game day atmospheres. But there was a lot.
Go back to that one. KB, go back to the one about traffic cops, and that reminds me. So we're walking across the street, going to the stadium, and everybody's standing there, and cars are turning in and out. There's 2 cops sitting there waiting, and finally, no one said anything. I turned to the cop. I said, "Can we go across?" And you know what he says? He's not even stopping people. He goes, "Well, it's at your own risk." I'm like, what? And so I said to him, I guess I'll take the risk. And when I went, 50 other people start crossing the street. But I'm going 2 cops are standing there. He's telling me it's at my own risk. What the hell? But the snack bar, there was a comment about the snack bars. Yeah. Now, we had a snack bar on our, I had to come down about, 40 steps, and then you go in. That's cool. You go into the snack bar, which is totally in the shade and everything. And I had to stand in line probably, 10 minutes at least, 10 to 15 minutes to get a cup. No, I didn't have a complaint about that. A lot of people did. to get a couple beers, and I asked for peanuts. They said, we're out of peanuts. So I had my 2 beers, and up I went. I didn't think it was out of the ordinary for as many pro or college games I've been to. Now, back to the bathrooms. The bathrooms on our level 2, I thought were fine, but people have been complaining about bathroom operations. They were big, they were large, and they were there were plenty clean in the ones we had, which was in section 9 up on the row 76 style.
I just think the only point to this, as we're, just to put a ribbon on this topic, is that as the sport becomes more professionalized in terms of NIL, and you're putting stadium renovations to add more capacity, and as you're trying to compete with other programs or time and attention, is that all these little things matter. And this isn't something that Mike Norvell and them control, but this is on game day operations and the AD to say, if we're going to expect our fans to travel, because Tallahassee is a tiny place.
It is.
Probably 90% of the people that come to the games are out with outside. I forget what stat they had it up at the big meetings is like 80+% probably travel or from 50+ miles out that travel to these games. And these people are paying $800-$900-$1,000 on a weekend. Like they expect
hotel rooms were going for $700-800.
People expect a premium experience when they come. They don't expect when they get to a game for there to be out of peanuts. They don't expect to be treated like trash when they're trying to cross the street. Like, they want to come, and if they're going to spend all this money for 2 nights, spend $1,000 at some 2-star hotel. All these little things matter because they may not come back when you're having a struggling season, right? Things are good now, so people are willing to spend the money. But, if things go haywire for a year, they may not spend that same money. If the game day operations aren't right, so it's all about.
I agree with you. I agree.
A good memory in people's heads, so they want to always come back no matter what's happening on the field, right?
I totally agree with you. What was weird is like the couple next to me, their son, they came there for family weekend to go to the game with their son. He didn't even want to leave the dorm room. He's probably on his Xbox or some shit, Yeah. And then there were 2 old people behind us who were there as grandparents to some student who was over in the student section, wasn't even sitting with them. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's like they left at halftime.
Yeah.
It was they as you get older, to do these events is much harder to do. Much less the expenses that you're talking about in what's going on.
Well, I think, and it's, you're competing too with television. You're competing with the TV. You're competing with people who, can have a premium experience from their couch. And so that's why the NFL teams invest, outside of where I live in DC, like they don't invest in the game day experience. And that's why people don't show up to those games. But some of these NFL stadiums are focusing so much on the fan experience, the stadium experience, and around the stadium. And I think Tallahassee has done a better job of building out around the stadium. I just hope that they invest inside the stadium, not just adding bleachers, but adding to the fan experience inside. And so that, like you said, people don't complain about these things, so that, they invest as much as Mike Norvell and everyone, are in players and the facilities and getting the program back to where it needs to be, that they don't forget about the operational side. But I think we can put a bow on that, because I think that is as important as the product on the field, because that will make you money too, right? To invest everywhere else.
I agree.
So on that, let's go on to our next topic, which is Winston Wright. So Winston Wright, that news broke, we're on Wednesday,
days
Monday
ago.
or Wednesday. So he's a part of the team. He's no longer on the roster. And I don't think this is necessarily a surprise. Limited minutes on the field, also limited targets, because the slot so far this season has been totally utilized to its fullest extent. Some would say, between him, Dustin Hill, and the rest of the slot receivers, I think they have a total of six receptions overall. And we saw Dustin Hill make a hell of a catch on this past Saturday. And Winston Wright had to battle back from a hell of an injury last year. And I think it's just a miracle in itself that he was able to get back to full strength or full health and be able to compete on the field and get back on the field like he did for the LSU game at all. And I think what we were looking for, his biggest contribution was when we lost Micah would be, could he compete, in the kick return games? That was one of his highlights at West Virginia. And I don't think it really all came together. And I think this is a product of both FSU's depth at the position, at the receiver position overall, in that, he was going to have to battle back either way. Ja'Kai Douglas was hurt, so that gave him some advantage of, hey, Ja'Kai's going to be out for 4 to 5 weeks. You'll have that inside track against a true freshman, Destin Hill. But like I said, he never really got in the groove. It seemed like with Travis, and Destin Hill's looked like he's ahead of schedule as a true freshman, and his body, he came in shape. He didn't seem to be that far behind. And like I said, he made the hell of a catch on Saturday, and it seems like he's ready to play. And at the same time, they've put kick returners back there in terms of Keon Coleman's returning kicks, Deuce Span's back there, Lawrence, and those two are the primary kick returners right now. So it wasn't like Winston Wright was I don't know if he didn't feel needed fully, but he also wasn't, key cog in this offense to keep it going right now. So in my eyes, this isn't a huge loss for Florida State. And if it was his decision where he's like, maybe he can get an extra year and go play somewhere else, I don't know what his redshirt status will look like moving forward. Because I know he was a redshirt coming in, but I don't know with his playing time and with the injury, if he'll be able to get another year. I hope he does, because I hope that he can play somewhere else and have one more shot at a career somewhere. Because there's no love lost. I don't think there's any anger towards the player. And, Mike Norvell had his statement that War Chant got. And I think it was a good statement by Mike Norvell, in which he stated that, he worked his way back. And I think this part right here was, I'm going to cheer for the kid forever, but no matter where you are, if you can't put it all into it, then you can't be with the program. So this makes me think that it was more so that Florida State kind of just cut ties, but at the same time, I don't want to speculate. But I wish Winston Wright well, and I hope he lands on his feet somewhere, that he can find footing somewhere else for another year. But what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think you summarized it pretty well. I'm not going to reiterate that. I don't think it's going to have a huge impact on this football team. I think the impact will be negligible, if that. We don't know what happened. Mike Norvell doesn't put out information like that. The university's not going to put out information. He's just not on the roster. You could read into that statement, but I think you've highlighted the statement. No matter where you are, if you can't put all into it, okay, meaning there was something missing. There were pieces to his puzzle that were not there, okay? And the coaching staff or let me say this, the university, okay? It could have been an academic issue. We often forget now, since we've entered this NIL stuff, we forget that they still have to qualify academically. I'm not suggesting that's what happened to Winston Wright, but we don't know, and we won't know. It's a privacy matter. Here's what we do know. He's not on the football team, and he's not contributing to this team anymore. So we do wish him the best of luck.
Yeah. Comment here. Moosh says Winston Wright did not have to leave. If only Travis had thrown the ball to him a little bit more instead of Johnny and Coleman almost every time. I mean,
yeah, but there's a lot, Mooshing, there's a lot of receivers on this roster could make the same complaint. There's running backs on this roster could make the same complaint. Everybody wants to see the ball. That's the problem when you have a really good football program. When you're a top 10 football program year in and year out, you've got guys competing, okay? And that's how it is at the next level. Yeah. You're competing for snaps. And in this case, he was the man out, but he elected to leave. They didn't kick him out that I can see. They didn't cut ties with him that I know of, but we don't know. Winston Wright, you are welcome to come on this program anytime and talk about it. We'll be glad to talk about it with you and air it out. All you have to do is contact us.
There's only two primary receivers in terms of their position being a receiver that have over 5 receptions this season. There's, to your point, a lot of mouths to feed. Running backs, tight ends, and he was 7th in terms of receptions. Above him are Trey Benson, Morlock, Bell, Toafili, Wilson, Coleman. And then below him are guys like Darian Williamson who are trying to break through. Marquise and Douglas, Hill, Rodney Hill, both Hills, Preston Daniels, Deuce Span, Hakeem, there's, like you said, a lot of talent on this roster. And if you're a senior like he is, I believe he's a redshirt senior. It's got to be tough, like you said, to be buried like that. But to that point, Florida State really, they haven't overly utilized that slot position right now, and that could be a whole nother topic, whether or not that slot position could be looked at more.
I don't know why they aren't, to be honest with you. I think you brought up a good point. I don't know why they're not using that slot position more, for quick cuts, 8, 10, 12-yard cuts across the middle. I really don't get that part, and I think that's unfortunate. But, here's the last statement I'll say on this, okay? And we'll be talking about this more as season goes on. This won't be the only loss to this football team. There are guys that want to play ball. And if they don't think they can play here, either one, the coaching staff will tell them they can't play here, or two, they'll figure it themselves and they'll leave. There will be guys leaving in a variety of ways.
Yeah. And I would agree with B. Riley on this. It wasn't about Keon and Johnny. It was more about Destin Hill and Ja'Kai Douglas. I would agree with that he was probably listed behind those two in terms of.
And Douglas was back on the field now.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's the point. So like we said, we wish Winston best of luck. We hope he lands. He can get that extra eligibility, because I don't think there's any love lost with him. And I think he's probably a good kid. We move forward. So let's dive into Syracuse and
the Orangemen come to town Saturday.
So they come. We play them just like we kind of did last year.
Let me say this: noon kickoffs suck.
Well, it doesn't suck. Well, it doesn't suck when you're watching on TV, because then you have the rest of the day to watch the good games. It
sucks for everybody else if you got a park.
Yeah, well, I don't have to worry about it. So I enjoy it, because then I can watch the good games. The rest of the I can watch Oregon and Washington at 3:30. So it works out. But so Syracuse comes in at 4-2, losing 2 straight. It's kind of like the script of last year, right? Syracuse started hot, I believe, last year the same way. And then they follow the same script. They start playing good teams again, and then they start to kind of fall off the cliff. It's kind of the Dino Barbers playbook, which I think Dino Barbers is a fine coach.
I like him.
He's just in a tough spot where Syracuse doesn't want to invest in football. And, he just does enough not to be fired. And, he wins 6-7 games a year, and I think he knows that the admin's never going to invest in football like they do basketball.
He came out and made a statement on that, didn't he, KB?
Well, he said, he kind of, said, it's hard to have depth. I think his statement was, it's hard to have depth. If he said, ask us about our depth, and I'll point to the portal. You guys know where they are. Look at Florida State. Look at Florida State and their NIL. And I would talk back. I would say back to Dino Barbers is that you're not losing out to NIL. You may be losing out to NIL, but look at your basketball program, Dino. Your basketball. Syracuse has the #1 transfer portal class in 2023 in basketball. So NIL and your basketball team is able to utilize the transfer portal effectively for that sport. And in that sport, there's fewer players that you could pull. So you have to have a stronger NIL program that can offer the best package, because there's a lot less talent to go around, more or less. And so, if your admin, your collectives all work together, and your boosters all, if they all kind of work together in line and did something similar, I bet you could retain a lot more of that talent, or you could build the right facilities for, basketball, not playing the Carrier Dome or whatever it's called now, but they don't want to make that investment in the football program. And I get it. It's expensive, and Syracuse hasn't been good in a very, very long time in football. But I wouldn't blame the NIL system for why Syracuse football isn't good. I would blame your admin for not wanting to make the concessions, make the investment into football.
I think he was making a general statement that the Syracuse program right now and in the near past is not investing money, and they're not going to invest money. Now, I'll say this: in a March article this year, he said, or it was written, that they lost 35 players one way or the other. Graduation, They left the team, portal, whatever. They lost 35 players. They got 9 players via the portal. Now, I think his point rings to what I've been saying over the summer, and maybe you have too. I believe that there are going to be teams that are in the mega conferences. They are the ones who will have the NIL money. They're the ones who will get the best players from the portal. And if you're not in a mega conference, you're going to be in a position of a stepping stone. You're not going to be able to retain coaches. You're not going to be able to retain the best players, and you're constantly not going to be a top 10, top 15 program. And I think he's kind of alluding to that, that if you're not willing to spend the money, because I was looking at it, and we're not turning this into an NIL thing, but I think that's what he was saying. And I believe this is what's going to happen to college football.
I would agree with you too, but someone in the comments of one of these articles, I believe it was like, yeah, exactly. Look at what Florida State did and how they got Jared Verse. I was like, but also look at your recruiting. Jared Verse was in your backyard in Albany, and you guys didn't even recruit him. You didn't, he went to Albany because he didn't have any better offers, right? You weren't able to find that gem in the rough recruiting wise and get him. He had to go to Albany. You didn't see the potential in a player like that.
But what
we're right in your backyard.
Yeah, what we don't know if Syracuse or any other programs out there have such an extensive front office program like FSU's. FSU's front office program, which most people don't see or talk about, is set up like an NFL type program.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying if Syracuse can't go in their fucking backyard to Albany to check a kid out,
I agree with KB. I agree with you. I'm just saying they missed it somehow. They missed it. So they either don't have people in the right position in the recruiting back room to say, hey, what about this guy? You've got to have scouts now almost across the country to let you know about ball players. That's how the NFL does it.
And that's what I'm
saying. They're not doing a good job. But here's what Dino Babers said about Florida State. He said, 1, we're probably playing the best team in the ACC. And 2, this is probably one of the best football teams in the country. So he's not giving us any bulletin board material, that's for sure. But the view he put out in the statement, so I saw quoted in Syracuse news and media sites, he had a kind of a pessimistic view, obviously. I mean, beyond not giving bulletin board material. I think he's a nice man, but he's in a very, very tough position.
Oh, yeah. No, like I said, he's in a tough position. He does, I think, the best with the talent he has. And it's going to be like that for an extensive period of time until Syracuse decides they want to do something about it. So,
well, I think this is the key to this game. All right. It's a 17.5 point FSU favor right now. Okay. 17.5 points. I'm a little surprised it's not a little higher than that. Now, as you said, Syracuse has 4 wins: Colgate, Western Michigan, Purdue, which is interesting, and Army. They started out 4-0, and then they hit the gauntlet. Clemson, they lost 31-14 to not a great Clemson team. And then they got blown out by UNC the next week, 40-7. They've given up 71 points in their last 2 games. This should be a feeding frenzy for Jordan Travis and friends. Okay. This is something where I believe this is a team that they need to make, Florida State needs to make a statement against. They're vulnerable, and especially in Tallahassee. We should be able to take care of them. I felt at the Virginia Tech game, as I do about this game, KB, we're going to win the game. It's not about winning. It's about how much are we going to win by, and what is the level of dominance we're going to show the committee come playoff selection time if we keep winning. Because I believe Florida State's on a bubble almost the whole season to keep proving themselves that they deserve to be in the top 4.
Yeah, I agree. This should be an easy win, especially how Syracuse has looked against greater competition. Their right side of their line is not very good. It has not played very good the last couple of weeks. Mark Petrie, Jacob Bradford and Reed, these three guys right here are PFF rated the worst in terms of pass blocking on their team. In the last 2 weeks, they have not played very well. So I expect Patrick Payton and that crew to have a big day. Or if they get double blocked, then Jared Verse on the other side is going to have a great day. Jared Verse or Patrick Payton, I believe, will have multiple sacks in this game. And the key to that, too, the reason why Syracuse the last couple of weeks has struggled is that Clemson and North Carolina have been able to contain Schrader to being a pocket passer. The key to Syracuse's success early in the season to most of these games is that he's been able to control the pocket and elude when he's wanted to. He wants to use his legs as part of the offense. He wants to use some of that RPO. He wants to be able to roll out as part of their offensive playbook. But what Clemson and North Carolina did, where they were able to take that out of the game plan, collapse the pocket, and just make him his step back game, make his life a living hell essentially by collapsing the pocket at will, and make him pass it. As you can see, his passing yards under 180 yards both games, and they just totally collapsed the line, controlled it from start to finish. They couldn't get anything going, whether it was running back running or QB quarterback running. Nothing was working. And I think just because the quality of their line and the quality, like Dino Barber said, their depth is not there, Florida State should dominate both lines of scrimmage. They should be able to run the ball at will, and they should be able to stop the run at will, which will make Schrader have to beat them with his arm, which I don't think will be able to do on Saturday. So I believe that Florida State should be easily able to cover the spread. And like I said, if they aren't able to cover the spread, then we'll be asking more serious questions on Saturday. But I think Syracuse is a step down from Virginia Tech in terms of talent. So I think they should be able to easily cover.
I totally agree with you. All those comments. Schrader is the guy. Now he's been around. He's experienced. He's one of these guys that's in a special club. He has 5,000 plus yards passing in his career. Okay. And he's rushed for 1,500 yards or more. And Jordan Travis is in that club as well. So this guy, if you let him hang around, he could hurt you in some ways. Yeah. And he does use his legs a little bit. Okay. But we've struggled a little bit on Saturday. We gave up some chunk yardage there on some plays with the quarterback running. Okay. So we have to be able to handle that situation. Now they have a defensive back that, I'll be interested to kind of watch a little bit. A guy named Justin Barron, he's kind of one of their better guys in the secondary. Apparently he makes some big plays now and then. So other than that, this team should be handled very easily. I looked at the national stats on them. The thing that stood out the most is Syracuse has been converting third downs. Okay. They're ranked 17th in the country on third down conversions, but that could have been in the first 4 games when they played nobody. But we're ranked 77th in third down conversions.
We did better last week. Last week we did very well.
We were more balanced last week. So that was an interesting statistic. Red zone, when we get into the red zone, we're at 100%. We're tied with number 1 with several other teams. We've been in there 20 times and we've scored 20 times. 4 of them were like field goals, the rest were touchdowns. The red zone for Syracuse is they 27 attempts, 22 conversions on that. They're ranked number 80. So they have more problems as they get down into that red zone area. Should not be a big deal for FSU to handle. They want to win this game. They want to beat the spread as much as possible, and they want to get out without any significant injuries.
Yep, absolutely. And just for reference, third downs last week against UNC, Syracuse was 4 of 11, and then the week before they were 9 of 17 against Clemson. So I mean, they're still efficient against Clemson. They were almost above 50%, and against UNC, 10 of 19, they're above 50% again. So they are efficient. A team on third down. Once again, some of those could have been garbage time. They were 4 of 11, so a little bit less efficient last week. So it's more about they're gonna. I bet they'll move the ball some, but like you said, if you contain Schrader's legs and make him become a passer, you will easily win this game. it's all about containment with him. He has not been efficient passing the ball this season at all. You look at his stats, you look at his figures this year, he has not been efficient with the ball in his hand as a passer. He has almost as many interceptions as he does touchdowns this year passing the ball. But on the flip side, he has almost 400 yards rushing the ball in 7+ touchdowns, I believe it is, with his legs. So he is a more than capable runner, as we all know, or we should know by now. And he almost leads the team in rushing by himself. So we need to be able to contain his legs. It's going to be key for Farmer Verse to not over pursue on the edge. And as much important for a Bethune, Deloach, Nicholson. If Nicholson's on the field like he was a lot last week, I think they're kind of snap counting Bethune last week. He only played a lot on special teams, but I think it's going to be very important for them to back up the defensive line to make sure they contain this kid, because if they contain him early and make him pass, I believe this defensive backcourt is going to get a couple interceptions off Schrader. So
I'll be very interested to watch the interior of the line, because on Saturday against Virginia Tech when I was there, I'll tell you, Braden Fisk is really impressive to me. This guy was throwing guys aside and pursuing the quarterback.
Yeah.
I mean, with great speed, just barely missing him but really putting pressure on that quarterback. He's been very, very impressive. Briggs, Malcolm Ray, these guys, that defensive line has very high potential to get better as this season goes on. And this should be a game where they really kind of stand out, because you can't double block everybody. So I agree with your comments there. FSU, as a side note, has won the last 7 that they've played at Doak against Syracuse.
Yeah, absolutely. The other guy to watch on Syracuse who sort of broke out last year, and some of the message boards for Syracuse, I know they're looking to see this guy break out. And he's actually a local kid in my area, is Umari Hatcher. He went to Freedom High School. He is a 6'3" player receiver. He had almost 100 yards last week. He was the only kind of shining spot for the team last year. It'll be interesting to see how he matches up with our defensive backs, which side he lines up on for them, and who marks up on him, whether it's Cypress or Renardo Green. It'll be interesting to see who marks him this weekend, if they can shut him down. But he's really the only offensive playmaker outside of Schrader in my eyes, who maybe give us some concerns, because he's the biggest playmaking receiver I see on their team that could potentially give us problems on the outside with his height. And last week he gave UNC a little concern, but that was a blowout, so it's hard to say.
Yeah, let's give a shout out, as you and I had talked during the week, to our defensive backs, especially some of the young guys that have really been stepping up. I mean, the hit by Conrad Hussey. This guy's coming a long way in a short period of time. He has just super potential written all over him. And then you got Azara Thomas. Thomas looks like a next level guy. I mean, we've got a number. I think there's a number of good guys in this defensive secondary who are going in and playing roles. They're not starting, but they're going in and playing valuable roles on this team. So shout out to those defensive backs too.
Yeah, no, they've been playing good. Like I said, I think the only one I've had my concerns with is Fentrell. I think sometimes he gets beat or he doesn't finish tackles. But like you said, I think Conrad, I think he has a very, very solid future on this team, a really great future. Renardo Green, for a senior, I think he's been shut down for a lot of the year. He's played very well, very, very well. And I don't think he gets a lot of credit for what he's done this year. So shout out to him. A comment here, even for our basketball team, Nabs, Carmelo Anthony's son, because I think Carmelo is going to be at the game this weekend, because his son is a highly recruited, obviously, talent.
Why would he come to Florida State basketball then if he's highly recruited?
Because Florida State still does have some pull, regardless of last season. This year, would Hamilton be gone regardless? I think if Florida State only wins 9 or 10 games again,
they're going to struggle.
Has to be gone. And I do think
I think it's his last year of his contract, right?
I think so. And I think Florida State will struggle again this year in basketball.
Well, I mean,
I think they should go get Dennis Gates if they can out of Missouri, if he would be willing to come back. But
okay, and while we're on this just for a second, Melo's son comes here. He's going to come because, one, he could be a starter, and two, there's an NIL bag probably in it, and they're willing to invest in this kid. I don't know anything about his son at this point. I haven't really started doing my basketball stuff, but we're gonna do basketball stuff later.
Yeah, no, he's I think he's a top 40 recruit. He's going to have his choice of multiple schools from Florida State to Michigan. He's going to have his choice. So it'll be a battle for him. But I do think it's going to be hard to keep Leonard Hamilton in the position. So, but good question there. Good question there.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think that'll do it. We're picking.
No. I got some games for the weekend. Don't shut us down yet.
Games for the weekend.
Okay. Let's go over a few games for the weekend, KB, and just quickly. We're not going to spend a long time on these. Okay. Hey, last week, who was it? Dillingham got beat again by Coach Prime. Isn't that Dillingham's team, Arizona State?
They're 1-4.
Yeah, he's going to get fired.
No, it's his first year, and they have a bowl ban. They can't even play for the postseason.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Coach Prime's first year, and that team last year won one game, and he's already got like 4 wins. You know how hard it would be to
recruit and motivate a team that can't play for anything at the end of the year?
Well,
how would you recruit for that? And it's not even his fault. It's Herm Edwards' fault.
Okay.
Recruiting violations.
All right, here we go.
So, good luck motivating kids for that season.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Colorado's playing Stanford, and Stanford is down. It's Stanford and 11 points. Would you take Stanford and 11 points?
No, I wouldn't.
Colorado's the favorite, huh?
Yeah, I can see why. I'll pick Colorado.
Stanford's no good. Yes, you'll take Colorado. Wow. If Colorado wins another game, it's going to be unbelievable. Okay, Texas A&M versus Tennessee Vols. We got Coach Jimbo Fisher. And, this is they're giving Texas A&M 3.5 points.
I'll take Tennessee.
Yeah. Okay. And it's at Tennessee, I believe. So that'll be a kind of a fun game to watch because Jimbo will be going crazy.
I'll take Tennessee.
Okay. We got an in-state. Florida +2 versus South Carolina. So Florida is the underdog, and they're giving them 2 points.
Florida, I have not made myself watch any Florida games this year.
South Carolina has been so bad and so inconsistent. I'm not sure where this game is. I forgot where it is.
It's in South Carolina.
It's almost like Billy Napier and the Gators need to win this game. Because this isn't a powerful South Carolina team. If Florida loses this game, that's not going to be a good sign for the Napier administration.
I'm going to take South Carolina. I think they need to win this game.
Yeah, it's for Shane Beamer. 2 coaches on the hot seat.
They were hyped coming into this season, and they've underperformed too. So.
Yeah, they've underperformed. Okay, a good game to keep your eye on. Oregon and Washington, and Washington's the favorite. They're giving Oregon 3 points. Would you take Oregon in 3?
I think this is the game of the weekend.
Because Oregon has no defense. I don't know that much about
Oregon.
Washington.
What do you mean Oregon has no defense?
That was USC. No, that was USC. Yeah, I'm sorry, that was USC. So
I'm taking Oregon.
With the 3 points. Okay.
I think Washington has a slightly better offense, but I think.
What time is that game on?
3:30.
Okay, that's going to be a good game.
That's going to be a really good game. I think the team that wins this will be in the championship game. I honestly think that.
Yeah, because they're both top 5 teams, right?
No, top 10.
Top 10. Okay.
Granted, I believe the team that wins this game will surpass Florida State in the rankings if
Probably
Florida State doesn't cover the spread. If
Yeah.
Florida State doesn't cover the spread this weekend, if Oregon and Washington wins it, whoever wins this game, I believe will surpass them in the rankings.
Because when the committee,
I just think
when the committee starts looking at schedules and results, they're going to look at this Oregon-Washington game. They're not going to look at Florida State versus Syracuse. Okay, except how did we beat them? How did we beat Virginia Tech? How did we beat Syracuse? You got to beat them well.
But if we beat them by the spread, if we beat them by 25, 28 points, I think we'll stay where we are.
Oh, yeah, I agree. But if we squeak by and win by 10.
Yeah, I think then we would get passed by Oregon.
Right. And maybe rightfully so. Okay. Then you have an interesting game. Louisville is at the top of the ACC. Okay. They're like 3-0, 4-0. They're playing Pittsburgh.
Okay.
Pittsburgh, it's only a 7.5 points for Pittsburgh.
No, it's not. It's for Louisville, 7.5.
No, that's what I'm saying. You would take Pitt in 7.5.
No,
Louisville's the favorite, but only by 7.5 points.
It makes no sense. I'll take Louisville all day.
I don't get that. Do you?
Why would they hurt? Unless somebody's hurt that I don't know about, then I
like the quarterback. I don't know.
Someone must be hurt, or there's something I don't know about Pittsburgh. But
Brett Favre came back and he's got 1 year and he's joined Pittsburgh.
Or James Conner has. I don't.
Yeah, James Conner is great. Now, here's the next game of interest. I'm probably going to be flicking on. YouTube TV has that where you can watch 4 games at once, which is pretty cool. Yeah, it's actually pretty cool. Okay, USC and Notre Dame. USC is the underdog, likely because of their defense sucks so bad, and they're giving them 3 points. Would you take Notre Dame? Sam Workman.
No, Notre Dame doesn't have an offense.
Sam Hartman.
Yeah, he's struggling. He is very much struggling. And I may have predicted that right. He is not adjusting well to.
They've only lost 1 game.
They've lost 2 games. What are you talking about?
Oh, they have?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
They've lost 2 weeks in a row, I believe.
Did they?
Yes, 2 every other week they've lost. Ohio State.
Well, since I was at the Florida State game, they don't give the scores of any other games.
Yeah. They have no offense. Look, they've scored 14 points, 21 points, and 20 points. They have no offense. Sam Hartman's not lighting it up.
Why are they the favorite then over USC?
I don't know. I would pick USC because they're at home. That's why I would pick USC all day.
Okay. I got one last one. Which would be kind of fun to look in at.
The only reason Notre Dame may win this game is because they may be able to run the ball down USC's throat. But I'd still pick USC.
Okay. Last one. Miami versus UNC, North Carolina. And Miami is the underdog. They're giving them 3.5 points.
Well, UNC should blow out Miami. But if for some reason UNC is on fraud alert if they lose this game. Because if they lose this game, especially with Tez back, and Tez looked really good last weekend in his first game.
Well, he's been practicing, even though he wasn't
it's different
playing.
than that game.
Right. It's a different game.
Really well in his first game.
Yeah.
UNC should blow the doors off of them. I think I would take UNC by 10 plus, but I'll take UNC.
Well, if it comes down to a final play with 20 seconds left, and what did you think of that? Give a comment. The kneel down.
I don't. I just love how there was that coach who was like kneel the ball and they just dismissed him, and like the 2 coaches there are like calling this complex play into the quarterback. I'm like, what the hell are they calling? Like, how is it that complex to call? First of all, a running play with 30 seconds left. But second of all, why is it that complicated just to say to kneel the ball with 30 seconds? And if I'm the quarterback, why am I not questioning the call? Like with 30 seconds left, shouldn't I have control over what the play call is if we're up and there's 30 seconds left? Like, I feel like
that's not even a question. KB, that's not. You mean the quarterback?
Yeah. Why is the quarterback questioning? Like, shouldn't I just audible out of this and just kneel the ball? Like, here's the deal.
At
the end of the game.
Did you watch the post-game presser with Cristobal?
Yeah, he threw his running back under the bus.
He threw everybody. We. He didn't step up. He's the head coach. He can overrule anything. He had his headset on. Doesn't he see what's happening? What the hell was he thinking about? Was he thinking about where's he going to go for dinner after the big victory and get a steak? I mean, he should have stepped to the mic. This is where I lost respect from. He should have stepped to the mic and said, I, not we. And it's not, we told him to hold on to the ball. No shit. He should have said, I am totally responsible. I should have overruled when I heard that what the play was going to be. I could have called timeout. I had timeouts and get it straightened out.
Yeah.
I didn't do that. It is on me. I take full responsibility. He did not say it that way.
No. And I don't know how I, as a player, regardless if it's athletics or business, it's if someone makes a colossal mistake like that and they threw you into that situation and then they throw the mistake on you, I don't know how you, as that player, could like look that person in the face and trust them going forward. Because like, what other scenarios are going to happen where they're going to throw the dirt back on you again? Like, that's hard. Like, I would lose credibility out of the person as a leader. And then Miami fans are saying, well, like, oh, that shouldn't have been a fumble in the first place because his knee was down. But that doesn't matter because that's what the refs call. And that's also, let me finish. Yeah. Yeah. But this is also why I say Florida State fans shouldn't worry about refs, because refs are making bad calls all over every game. So stop worrying about refs.
I know. All they were hitting on Twitter.
There's no brand conspiracy against Florida State.
I know.
With the refs.
Good
refs
point.
Make terrible calls.
Good point.
In every damn game. So stop worrying about the refs.
Yeah.
But second of all, is that to throw that back on the player, I as the player could never look Mario Cristobal in the face and trust that man. With my career, with my growth as a player, my development, I feel bad for that kid. I feel bad for that kid.
Wouldn't you agree? What I just said, the coach should have done at the microphone, and then followed up with going to the kid who fumbled and to your quarterback and to your offensive line and everybody and saying, it's on me. The whole thing is on me.
I'm sure
I don't think he did
I'm sure he did behind.
He didn't do it at the mic. He didn't do it at the mic.
I'm sure he said what he said. He did the thing at the mic, but behind closed doors, he said it to the kid, which is probably more two-faced. That's the worst way to do it. Is to make a public statement, said, throw him under the bus behind the closed doors. Hey man, I got you. That's more two-faced than doing the right thing, which is taking blame in front of the cameras and then going to him.
And then on Monday at the next presser, you come out or separately, you send out a statement protecting your team, protecting your kid, and saying it was my fault. Period. End of story.
He would have been less on Mario if he would have actually done that, because people make mistakes, people F up. But I think the worst part is that he has a history of doing this decision, which still doesn't make any sense. And I think, and he still hasn't explained that, why he consistently, I think every game someone showed on X, is that every game this season, they've ended games like this. They've never kneeled. So it's either like an ego thing, or I don't know what it is, but every game this year, they've led.
Stupid.
And they close out the game running the ball. They've never done a victory formation, kneeled it. Any game this year.
Stupid.
I don't know if it's an ego thing, or it's like, we're in Miami, we keep playing to the final whistle. I don't know.
If it's an ego thing, then throw the damn ball long, fake it into the middle, throw it long. But no, it's just stupid football, But you know what it does? It puts more pressure on Florida State to make sure they beat the hell out of Miami when they come to Tallahassee, which, guess what? I will be there again in the parking, but I have a parking thing for the Tucker Center now. We'll see how that shit works. But it does put pressure on Florida State to beat this team big time. Could you imagine being in the Doak and getting beat by Mario?
Well, I don't think it's more pressure. I think they just got to beat them. It doesn't put more
pressure. And hopefully the fans will be yelling, knee, knee.
I'm sure there'll be some signs and T-shirts. I'm sure those are already printed for game day. But, that'll do it, guys. So we're taking the spread. A lot of good games this weekend. I found that, I don't know if you guys have, but it's actually nice having the Pac-12 network for the late. I was watching the USC game last weekend until 2 a.m. with that overtime game. I've never watched so much USC football. Those games are fun because they just score 60 points every game, and they have no defense, so it's a shootout. Those games are so fun to watch because there's no defense, but Caleb Williams can score.
He is unbelievable.
That guy's so fun to watch. I mean, he's probably going to win the Heisman just because he has to score for them to win.
Right.
That guy's unbelievable.
And you know what? I think he's operating behind an offensive line that's not better than average.
They're not.
I
don't think he had, and he doesn't have like the most elite. Like, he has good weapons around him, but I don't know if he has necessarily like a Marvin. the kid at Ohio State, Marvin Harrison Jr.
Jerry Rice's kid is pretty good.
You're right. Jerry Rice's kid is good. He is good. You're right. But imagine him with a Keon Coleman or like there's so no, he's good. I also like who's been playing really good is the kid from LSU that we played, Jaden
Daniels.
Yeah, Jaden Daniels. That guy, he's playing really good too. Watching LSU the past couple of weeks too, like talk about a kid who's playing behind, like that defense is horrible too. LSU's defense is bad, really bad. Like there are some bad defenses in college football right now. So and that makes me, and I harp on our defense sometimes, but there are some really bad defenses out there, and we should be maybe lucky that ours is competent right now. So, so enjoy the games this weekend. You point out some good ones. Let us know what your primetime matchups are this weekend and who you're picking. And we'll be back this weekend with a post-game reaction either after the game or on Sunday or Monday. We'll keep you posted. And enjoy Saturday's game, and we'll see you soon. Stay safe out there. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll see y'all soon. Take care.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Go Noles.